Go live. Oh, sorry. Guys, yeah, I'm struggling with this YouTube. Am I live now? It's a new menu. I need to click stream now in the streaming software, and then I need to go up here, go live. Terrible, isn't it? Yes, sorry guys, you're waiting a few minutes and you only see a screen of me and nothing happening. Excuse me, so I need to check that for next time. Yeah, so I'm talking and nobody did listen or could listen. Yeah, everybody, welcome for another live stream. Sorry for this delay. I need to catch up with YouTube, and they constant change things. That's a bit annoying. We have Vecto months this month. We have each month we have one product, at least one product, which is in on a special, and also a special focus in me playing sounds and discussing it. So if I put this back again here, and today I uploaded a few MP3s, and then I thought, oh man, this is really sounds great. I mean, sometimes when you go on holiday, you're 2 weeks on the beach being lazy, and when I come back, then I play the synthesizers in my studio, and then I'm always surprised how great they sound, and it's really great to feel it that way, because normally the whole day I'm in between synthesizers, playing around with sounds, and well, it's great. And if you have a holiday and you come back and you hear everything with fresh ears. So I was playing this sound ahead of the stream. I thought I was streaming, but it's a very nice pet sound. So this was one of these sounds in this MP3, and I was like, oh wow, this is really great for ambient music. And that is also where Vecto landed. We heard back from producers which love it, who make ambient music. It's a bit easier to use than, for instance, Bluetooth, which is far more complex a synthesizer. So Vecto is very straightforward. You have all the functions you have in front of you, and that helps, of course, doing fast some editing sounds, and it's a very, very nice synthesizer. And originally it was designed as a rack extension, so only for Reason, and we regularly did this request if we would not make this also a VST, which happened a few months ago, and been very successful. And it's a very nice synthesizer. You see the bank manager is the same like all the other ones. All the other bank managers, which you can know from Subboom Bass 2 or Predator 2 or Go 2. It's another nice sound. So what is happening here? This is wine glasses. We have some crystal glasses in the upper floor, with in the closet of my wife, where she has all the glasses and all kind of things. And I did sample them, and also after sampling, I placed them back, and none of them were broken or shattered. So that went well. But this is really with your finger around it, you know. So and you need crystal glasses for this. So especially for ambient, I think it's a fantastic synthesizer. Very nice range of samples on board, which you can use together with the other waveforms. swirly bells, and I'm just clicking now a bit around. So let's see what this one. Indeed, swirly. It's really. Of course, we can make it a bit less. You see here is also again a glass, but this glass is here combined with a waveform. And on top is this glass with this tune. Many people remind this into the 80s, but to my impression, it's maybe a bit more hi-fi compared to some of the 80s. In the 80s, they also used the combination of samples with synthesis like a D50, but they had less memory. So these samples inside Vecto have a much higher sample rate, much longer samples, which then reflects in a different sound. So I was playing a few of these sounds to be. It's the ambient bank. Of course, we have some brilliant stuff from Jumal. See down here the arpeggiator. So absolutely a fantastic synthesizer. We will come back later on in the stream about Vecto, and maybe I also can show, maybe I should not do it, but we work on Quad, and Quad was this other reg extension we built for Reason, and we're working on it now for making it also a VST audio unit and AX plugin, and it's already working. It plays very well. We need to have the final design. So the user interface, because originally the rack extension is a bit smaller, so Vecto here as VST is a bit different than compared to the rack extension. But I also was talking, and while I was not streaming, I was talking also about Punch-2. And I want to show you a few things which is cool about Punch-2. Well, that's not Punch-2. Here it is. Because in the newer version of Punch-2, we will have a range of tabla presets, samples installed. Okay, I was coughing. So here you can see these samples. We obtained them from an artist from Russia, high quality samples, and I picked the single strokes and created already some presets. So if you go to the main page, you can see this here one has then the sample. So the pad 1 is a sample, and we have, of course, a lot of presets which use the sample. So here, if I go to sample, then to the folder, which all have then presets which are created by using these samples. I have a folder now, or very soon also in your Punch-2 07 Tabla A. Tabla A stands for the tuning. Okay, so and then we have some presets. Daha. And these are all natural sounding. Long gliss. And also what I like to mention, this is Dehen, is you see we have multiple samples. So because with Punch-2, each pad can have 3 samples, and you can alternate between these 3 samples, which makes that the sound is far more realistic. So each time you hear a different sample. So if I click here, sample A, sample B, you see it has a different sample selected. 2 and that one 3. Yeah, and then we have another preset. Tabla GE long gliss. Short gliss. A very soft tabla tin. Tabla tin 2. Different, a bit different. Tabla tune. And yeah, the cool thing is, you see my keyboard. If I'm right, you see my keyboard. I'm playing here the first pad. And if I go up here, the first pad is copied over here. Because once I start playing from this note, I also can play it tuned. Yeah, that's cool, isn't it? And now the bass drum is playing this tabla, so let's go. Let's see. So instead of the bass drum, it's doing this tabla. So tabla is now, this first range in the A tuning is added as separate samples. These are natural samples, and so I still did not do weird stuff, because I love to do some weird stuff, because I think it's not, essentially Punch-2 is not about being fully realistic, realistic for maybe electronic drums, but it's not the plan to reproduce a tabla player. No, we take the sound of the tabla and we go from there and we make some new sound. So what I could do now, the tabla, I could say, okay, change the tuning or use granular on this tabla. Let's see how that sounds. Oh, dirty. Dirty, isn't it? So this is originally the tabla, and now it's grains. So that's the power of Punch. It's really for these sound designer freaks. It's really, really lovely. Yeah, each pad can have 3 kicks or snares, no problem. So combining, that's a very cool stuff. So what I could do now, take this one and, for instance, I could say, just as an example, mix A, B, and C. So I also can mix them together, so stack them. Mix A and B, I would be A, and B would be this other tabla. But in case of the tabla, I could say, well, take a, let's say, a frame drum. Just picking something. Now I have the mix, you see. This is, you can mix them, 2 different sounds, or I could put off, combine, and then could have the sample B, which is this frame. So then you suddenly can make totally different. And just play around. So if you go to sample B and pick another one. Or cowbell, go to a cowbell. Or I just go up and go for, what shall we do? Well, something weird. Sizzle noisy. So this is, it's cool, isn't it? What you can do only by combining 2 samples. So this is mix A-B. Sample A is this tabla, sample B is the sizzle sounds, and what I can do now is simply save this as a preset, which is of course cool. So what I could do now is save preset in folder. I would place this not in the tabla, but we have then here in the samples folders all these sub things, and I also FX Percussion 03. There I would put it and say okay, and I would give it a name, tabla sizzle. Okay, a bit weird written. Sizzle. Here you go. Cool. Of course, it's just playing around. I saved this preset. And then next time, in your next song, you can simply look it up. Because here you see the folder. There it is in the FX3 folder. And there you see we have plenty of presets, which are built up using the built-in samples we deliver. Water gong, water stuff, really odd material. And yeah, the sound I just saved should be there. Here it is, tabla sizzle. FX whoop water. Let's try this. Very wet, isn't it? Okay, so don't need to forget to check in the chat room. But not much in electronic. Yeah, what we are doing now in the new version, that's another thing. Excuse me. Yeah, okay. I will ask remind you about the questions. I will mention another thing which will happen in Punch-2 very soon, which is very cool. I'll go to the introduction bank. So I showed the tabla. So go to the introduction bank, and there's a preset which I created, which I showed also last week. This one. So this sequencer page is the same as Audition, but it will be called Audition Sequence. Then you can have its own order of how the groove starts. So you can do it by triggering the simple grooves, from C3 to up to G3. You can have these sequences starting to play, but you also can have it then now in a sequenced order. Excuse me. So if I hit now the Audition note, which is the G3 sharp, you see here it moves up, and here starts the loop slice. Whilst you have a sequence of 16, you can have also here an additional sequence mode. So I did explain this a bit in last week. But what is new now in the commands, and that's cool, is sequencer export MIDI. Okay, so I have this sequence now. So if you think, okay, I made a nice groove in Punch-2, but I want to use it in my own sequencer. Now you can save it as a MIDI file. Punch to test me. That's save. Okay. I go now to Cubase. Here is a Cubase. I pick, of course, a correct location. It should be on the start on the first of the beat. So it could start here on 13.111. And then I import MIDI file. No. Here's the MIDI file. And sorry. And I can use drag and drop and throw this MIDI file. You see here it is, punch test me. And I drop this MIDI file here in this track. Oh, wait 1 second. I need to have here a setting correct. With Cubase, you need to have grid. You need to have that one active. Otherwise, it drops the MIDI file not on the first beat of this bar. So that needs to be active, and it depends, of course, on your music host, what you're using, how you can import the MIDI file. how that works. A MIDI file. So here we go again. Here's the MIDI file, and I drop it on the track which has Punch-2. It's, you see, 13 bar 13. Here you go, and there it is. So now I can play it back simply, and you see it here. Cancel as MIDI notes. Here we go. Okay. So this whole sequence is now exported as a MIDI file. So back again to the first here, up here, these are the slices from the brush. You can click here. And these are the drum notes. Hi-hat, snare, kick. Oh, let's play again. You see, that works great. So when I open Punch now again, where are you? Here you are. And you see the pads playing. So the grooves and breaks are not used anymore, but it's now playing fully from the sequencer. Okay, so yeah, the swing is part of it. So inside here you see each groove has 4 tracks, and here you can use swing. So that's possible. Of course, you also afterwards could change things here inside Cubase. So I think that's a very nice feature which we'll have very soon, that you have a audition sequence mode, and if you make a nice lineup for building up, that it's you can also extract this to MIDI and go on in your own sequencer. So much options from there. So and of course I did mention the fact that we have now also a few loops from Tabla. So let me go here and go to the advanced page, and let's see where we have the slices. Oh, the slices start here on number 19. So these are 8 slices. Now if we go here in the newer version, later on you will have a percussion. Let's see. Here it should be. Oh, I don't see it yet. We should have here the loops. Why? Oh, here are they. Sorry, tabla, and tabla A. And here we have some tabla things. I can click it here, and then we can audition it. So preview sample. So all kind of phrases. Okay, let's do this one. It gives a tempo of 110 beats per minute. We are down here a bit too high. Of course, I did not map it out. I see it's 8 slices it could be, but this one I don't have to use this. I can use the right mouse button to delete that one, and only move that one a bit. So here, I think this are 7 slices, which I think could work. And yeah, so you can edit this, and once you have this edited, you also can zoom in. So if you want to be very precise, you can zoom in and really move it very tight. Okay, then of course I need to move here so that you Okay, you can do some very small detail work for. So now it's sliced on tempo, but you also could select automatically, and then it slices essentially on the transit. Okay, reset. So let's see. And I have 7 here, so I would say map slice, and I would start also on 19. Okay, and let's see. Now it plays back using the pads. You see that? So let's see how this one, because initially it was brush, and now I have the tabla. Okay. Of course, I need to go to the main. Oh, this is sequenced mode. So, okay, that's a good one, Rob. Then I need to put it in here. So now the tabla should play each time. Sounds a bit strange. Not that I would say that it is useful, but I think you get my point. So these are the single slices. So we add to the new version of Punch also some range of phrases from the tabla in tuning A. And there will be more, but of course it takes time to create them. And the cool thing is about if you select here a pad, you can do some weird stuff. So I could also say this pad 1, 2, 3, number 4 is slice 4. I click here on edit, and then I could say, okay, reverse slice. Weird, isn't it? But that's cool. That's the thing you can do. The only thing that's a bit strange is I combine, so it's essentially it reversed all of them. So I should reverse slice, combine slices. So that's my error. I need to put off combined slices and only reverse that one. So now you see. Makes it very nice. And then of course now combine this off. And I also could use then on this reverse maybe an effects. Let's see. Say reverb. So what you could do then is with this sequence mode is that you say, okay, let's start this way. And yeah, hey, Richard also here. And Richard had a great idea. He said, well, Rob, you can start now with this this note, but make it also that it is host start. So in case of host start, if you go to the start of your song, you press play, it starts playing this sequenced mode. So yeah, so it's a very in terms of features. So you see here are the slice pads, and when I go edit, I'm back again on slice 19, the first one. I have combined off, so I could say this first one, I could make it a bit shorter. Of course, I also can play it manually. Here it is, and say, okay, let's do this one a bit lower. And the second one, maybe a delay. Go back to the first one. Maybe a bit too low. crazy what you can do with the slices. So in the newer version we have some tabla phrases, but there will be more. It's a lot of editing for me because it's a very high quality samples, and that's maybe what you already heard when I went to these single strokes. So when I go here and go to sample, we have the single strokes in the dedicated folder called Tabla A, and you have here some presets. So these are very dry, and the advantage is when it is dry, there's no room on it, and room you always can put on it. So you always can say, okay, I want to have a... So Punch-2 has a very high quality algorithms, reverbs, and so that's what you can do. So okay, but I need to check the chat room here. Somebody's asking, each pad 3 kicks. Yes. I have a question. Example pad 1 is 3 kicks. Can you start the kick number 2 in reverse or at a different start? Oh yeah, definitely. So let's go to an example. If you would work with samples for, let's say, kicks, let's see if we have some bass drum is here, but you need to go to sample and then the group bass drums. Here are the bass drums, and you need to pick one preset. So go to another one. So let's see what happens here. This is only one sample, so now I could take here a different sample. I go again to the bass drum. And sample B is this one. And then he asks, yeah, I can have this one on a different setting, because if I don't use combine, I can simply tune it, make reverse. Okay, so sample reverse, and of course sample start, I move it a bit over, and it's a bit hard to see. Yeah, you see the change of the color, but if the sample is very long, so. And then I could say again, sample A and B mix A, B. Okay, B should be then. So each of this, if you stack 3 samples, don't use combine, because then you combine the settings. But then each sample, you can have its own filter, its own envelope, its own granular. You can reverse these samples. So that's really very detailed. So it's not the case that you stack only 3 samples. No, it's essentially a 3-layer thing if you want. So hopefully that yeah, definitely Punch-2 is very wide and wild on that subject. So 3 samples you can combine on each sample pad. And then yeah, we have the edit screen where you select the sample. Combine makes that, for instance, what I did with the tabla, I press combine because I want to have for the 3 tablas which play alternate, I want to have the same envelope. But if you're stacking otherwise, you can do other things. So if I go here to the snares, which is very interesting, I love to do this. This one uses a split, so that's also possible, and you have to split here. I'm not sure how many. Yeah, 3 samples used. And of course I need to put out the microphone, but then you can really hear that a different velocity set. There's still a little bug here because this dot is moving around. It should not move around. It's not active, so I'm not sure why it's doing that. But here you see I've also split points. You also can have a split point between 3 samples. So the play mode is, or you pick 1 sample. It's also possible. Alternate. You can alternate between 2 or 3 samples. You can split between 2 or 3 samples. You can mix A and B, so 2 samples, or mix A, B, and C. So stack 3 sounds together on 1 pad. Yeah. And each sample can have its own tuning. So I could say also mix the same snare. So that's very cool. So I created quite some snares already, and mix 2. These are all in these sample pads, so using a high pass filter. So if you go to the manager drum kit, these are drum kits, whole drum kits, but we also have down here the drum preset manager for all the presets. So pad 1 is using now snares, and you see all kind of presets, and depends. And this is, of course, keeps on growing as well. So we need to try and make some more of these stacking sounds, because what is the fun part is that if you don't want to dive deep into Punch-2, you can simply stay on the main page and pick one of these drum presets from these single pads. So if you say, okay, let's go to the original preset, and you go here, okay, here you have pad 3, and you see sample. There's a snare. Okay, then you can say, okay, pick here another one by using the list, or by up down. Or you can do it up here. Even here you can go up down. So all kind of, there's a little snare jump in. Yeah, that's a very fast way to make your own drum kit. And of course we will expand in the presets, not only for the drum kits, but also in the presets for the individual type of sounds. So I think for these sample pads, the amount of presets we have for these sample pads is over 800, if I'm not wrong. Maybe it's even more, because there you see we have different groups. We have bass drums, which are built on the installed sample, snares, percussion, taiko, frame drum, finger snap, claps, timpani, vocal thing, even synth sound. So the sample pads is not for only using your own samples, but plenty of sounds are on board. Okay. Yeah, that's something which we are planning to have different colors for the pads, but it's there are little changes. So we have now the pattern page, which will have the sequenced order. This is still the mock-up, so the final version will look a bit better. We have a bit improvement here with this page, so that it's a bit easier to detect which one is playing. Of course, it's a lot of information, because you see 24 pads with 4 FX and each of them, or in the original Punch mode you see this. Mostly you don't do that much here, but we thought it's maybe nice to show it. But we if you play a pad, it shows a bit better. Now pad 2 is playing, and I cannot locate it. 1 is active for editing, but 2 should be this one, but it's hard to see. So we have a new uplighting thing, so that it's a bit easier to locate, and then what we will have, but that will be a future update, that you can select a different color for the pads. So now everything is green, but then you could say, okay, I take blue for bass drum, red for snare, model, user. So a slice would be then a different color, and the color setting would be then something you can put on here in the back panel. So it's planned, and of course it's everything takes time. This is one of the biggest updates we did, and I don't want to shock you, but you know, Punch-2 has over 35,000 parameters. So John Iris did an amazing job. We added a lot of parameters, and therefore sometimes it takes a bit longer before Punch pops up, because it needs to load a lot of parameters. I think there is no drum computer on this market which has the same features as Punch-2. I'm very safe to say that this is one of the most powerful drum machine if you are into the electronic scene. And of course, it's not about recreating real drums. There are different plugins for that, which do this, I think, even much better. So, but in terms of a drum machine for electronic and doing contemporary stuff, it's by far out, as sure with the synthesis and the options you have, far out the most complete one. Yes, that is also possible. There's a hired mode. That's a good question. They call it choke. So if I go here, I simply take another preset. Let me see. I go to simply a dance kit. Okay, so you see here's a 909, classic 909. But you see here, this one has choke group 2. And the other one, it's also choke group. So this one closes. So then you have indeed this also feature. And so this is in here on the right side. You can have 4 choke groups in total. So even more. So this one combines a synthesis. This is synthesis, I think. Yeah, you see, this is a model. Hey, this is not a sample. It's a synthesis clamp, talking about synthesis. Also cool, isn't it? So if you click here on this, it resets to, yeah, there's so much to tell about Punch-2. I need to create a few more videos, but I was very busy, of course, also with sampling, editing samples. I mean, these tabla samples, they are, I'm not sure how much of the tabla are now inside, will be inside in the next version, but that takes 2 days at least for editing, and so it's pretty much work. Okay, so today I'm not looking on the right side because I forgot to log in to my MacBook. So I'm having the chat room on the left side, which works nice. Sorry for the delay. I had a few minutes that I thought I was streaming, so I was very happy telling about products and nothing happened at the other side. And that's because YouTube keeps on changing things, and I'm using now the stream, which has a different option. But anyhow, it's we are running. So let me check if there are any questions. Okay, let me put something in the screen. always on top. So so Punch-2, things are, yeah, keep on progressing in terms of features. So color pads, yeah, it's planned, but that'll take a bit of time, of course. Yeah, the tabla sounds we had did acquire some high quality samples. Normally I do sample myself, but I don't have any tabla player in the neighborhood. So I was looking for a good one, and by a friend of mine, I saw a video. He played together with this beautiful harp with a tabla player, and then we connected, and he did send some examples and very top-notch samples. And if you go to the, if I would pick here again and select here slice, then the slice menu opens, and then you see, so in the future, in the RP loops, there you will find tabla. And tabla will have two groups, tabla A in the tuning A and tuning C. I also received, but I need to work. So, and these are some basic grooves. So using, by the way, using the right mouse button, you can audition it. And these other are a bit. So I could use this one now and could say, okay, slice this one to let's say these are 8, 19 map slides. I'm doing this very fast now because you need to be 19. Here it is. And because they are so dry, so if I would hit, the tempo is 113, but the tempo is a bit higher here for my host. It's 120. You see down here 120. So you see it's pretty. What I always do, if the sound, make it a bit the decay shorter. Then I can go up even more. Of course, it's nice if you can combine things. So if I have now the audition, I can mute things. So by muting it, you also can have a change in sequence. So it's not very useful in this beat. So, but I could say, okay, mute this one. So we have some loops here, also Rex files, but not that much, which are flying around on internet. Plenty of these rec files or things are available. But here you see you have percussion using a beat ring. No, that's a bongo. It's very low tempo. I also could use that one, tempo. And I throw this also just very fast. Map slice. So I throw these chops here to the pads. I start at, let's say, 17 or so. Okay, I have a few is muted, so I need to unmute them. Let's see how this works. And with the other. So it's pretty, it depends on your sounds and what you like to do. So I'm checking here. The chat room, I was not a Punch-2 plugin. There is mix table. Not sure what you mean. The mix table is in the master section here. There you have also all the 24 pads. And you have the additional master which you can put on a compressor. It's so okay. I'm checking here. Is there a copyright issue with drum machine samples? Not really. The very old ones, like the 808, we have inside of it. Oh, the Simon drum sounds. No, I don't think that there is a issue with these. They are sampled so much, and I mean, we have, of course, in the basic, the most famous Amen drummer loop. I also use that. This is Amen in combination with 100 beats per minute for maybe hip hop, urban style things. Okay, so if this is most famous. So drum samples, not really. Of course, if you would sample, let's say, the newer tune track drum kits, I don't think they would like it, because that's really something which fresh and new. But if you have an older Simmons which is not available anymore, these electronic drums, nobody will complain about it. But of course, I mean, that's the point with Punch-2 is, for example, yeah, you can maybe sample an 808 with the clap. But what I found interesting is that you can do some new stuff. So here's the bass drum, and this one is not a 808. This is really using the synthesis, and then you have far more freedom if you want to say, okay, I want to have it extremely long so that the car shakes out of your gear. If the bass plays, yeah, you make it a bit longer, you know. Or shorter. Or you say a bit distorted. Or even lower. Of course, you can focus each time on an 808, but I mean, with the Punch-2, you have far more sound options, and you can sound a bit different. It's in terms of where is this bass drum? The fun part, this is normally you would do this with a compressor. But you have here an amplifier with hold, which keeps the volume high, which you normally do with a compressor. So you have a pitch envelope and you have a volume envelope. So you can really, and if you use this in your mix, it's really powerful. And yeah, it's a combination of samples, because if you go to, now this is also snare. So okay, let me show you something about my way of thinking. So here we have a snare. I go to clap. Then we have here the clap 1. Oh, sorry. Wait, why? Oh, that's models. Sorry, I'm very classic. I don't know which, this one. I think this is the 808. So this is the 808. 909, which is a sampled 808. And a very old Lindrum type of clap. So, but if we take the 808, which is very often used, this one, and the cool thing is what I like is that with these models, because this one is mono, you hear that? So I go now to the next pad, and that makes it easier for me to show you the difference. I go again to clap, and I pick one. Models, yeah. Pick one of the presets. And you see this one, 808, and this is a model. And the model, you see, that's far more stereo. If you are sitting in front of your speakers, you can hear that it's really stereo. I make it longer now. So this is the 808. And based on this idea, what the 808 is essentially is a bandpass filter with an envelope, with a sawtooth modulation on the volume, on the filter, is the same system. But then I thought, oh wow, we have some features in software, so why not make it stereo? So I added the spread. Now it's in mono. Try to get it a bit closer to the 808. So and now it's a synthesis, but it's still mono. So and spread, when I open this, you hear this left right, and there's an offset. So this offsets this left and right. So it's each time a bit different. So the left and right frequency is different. And now you have far different types of 808. So that's what I think. So it's inspired on electronic drums, but we take it from there and add some new ideas to it. So okay, so I'm checking here the chat room if we still are on track. No, I don't do these trade shows anymore because it's very time consuming, and essentially on YouTube everybody can watch it and join it. If you can go into the chat, and of course everybody can watch it afterwards in the playlist, live stream, or look at the other tutorials. So I did a bit less trade shows, and also stopped doing the dance fair, which is in Netherlands, which is a very nice fair, but yeah, I'm very busy, and so also by creating new stuff, and yeah, these fairs take a lot of energy, and you cannot produce sound. So I'm, for instance, the tabla sound, which I did added this week. For instance, if there would be a fair, I could not edit these. So that's the reason. Most likely I will be back someday, but for now I stick on producing the live streams, and of course creating more tutorials, and of course diving into creating more sounds, because that's very important, so that you guys can create music and feel inspired by it. Okay, yes, thank you. Yeah, XY is very cool. We had an update, by the way. We had an update for the RP reverse. Check this video. It's inside the RP reverse. We added a dry button, and of course you can reverse also a vocal very fast and put that ahead of the first time that the vocal kicks in. But I thought, yeah, let's show this also, how you could do this with RP reverse, which is a very creative FX. So another thing which I'll try to do, We have Vecto month today, and so let's see if that works. And the chat room, I will copy and paste a very nice sound set for Vecto, so hopefully you can see it. And there is a very cool sound set release for Predator 2 from Naughty Tracks, and I will copy that one also in the chat room. Maybe also a wise idea to have both these sound sets mentioned in the info box below the YouTube video. So both are in the second. Yeah, it should be there. Yeah, the Naughty Tracks is there, and the SoundCloud from the Audition bank for Vecto. Okay, I see another. You can send FX14 out to third-party plugins. Then you need to install the Punch-2 Multi. Then you have you need to in your host you need to add these additional outputs, and then you would have in here in Punch-2. You go here to the output, and then you have the other outputs, out 11, 12, master, and this one is now because it's not the multi-mode, but in the multi-mode you have these separate outputs. So then you can use external, excuse me, external effects if you like to use them. So let me see. Yes, I can show you. So, I have not installed it because we are just in the transition to add the NKS support. So I cannot show it. Maybe next week I can show it, but you have then to select Punch-2, not Punch-2, but Punch-2 Multi. And that one has then the additional outputs. So that's a separate instrument. Okay, I think we had it for today. Hopefully next week a bit more about Vecto, because we have Vecto month, and I started playing a few sounds with this live stream. And yeah, if you missed it, you can always watch it back in the playlist, and then you can start from the beginning. If you have a question, write it down, and next time come back and we can discuss maybe a question about one instrument or a particular thing. That's not a problem. Yeah, NKS is on its way. We will be sending it out for testing. I can show you already if I have complete control. No, I should then select machine. And okay, so here we have, oops. Not sure why it disappeared. So here we can have, once we release it, you have Punch-2 as NKS instruments. You have all the banks. So then you go here. And the nice thing is that you have an audition, so you will hear right away the sound. Double click, and you see it's here, down here. See my keyboard. So, and here it's a bass drum. So you can double click, open it here, and then you have Punch-2. So then in native instruments, it's a machine or complete control. You need to use this browser. So for selecting presets, you need to go to the left. And there you have this audition, which is nice. Wow, you see we have here some controls, the easy page we added, and the mixer for the volumes. It's not that much, but yeah, some fun parts you can do, of course, by using the easy page. So if I would... So it's going to be sent out to native instruments, most likely tomorrow, and then hopefully very soon we can release this for the people who use Machine 2 or the complete control keyboard. So very soon, Anchor as compatible. Now, thanks again, guys, for watching. Hope to see you next week, and then we catch up again. Okay? Keep well.